What's going on, guys? Eric here from MajorLeagueTrading.com, and in today's video I want to walk you guys through a couple of trades that I took today and then a couple of trades that I actually wanted to take but they didn't end up setting up, so was unable to take those trades. So before we get started, the trade from last night did in fact stop out. So I was up a little over like 30 some points on the Nasdaq position at one point, and it came back and stopped me out for just 5 ticks in profits. So I gave back like basically 575 bucks, give or take, worth of profit on that trade from yesterday's video. If you guys did not see that one, I'll put a link in the description below. But what was important about that trade is the fact that I had my risk metrics in place. I was long 2 ticks from the low of the day and was able to essentially put that position on. And at most, I was down like $10 on that trade at any one time, and allow it to kind of work itself out. And had it gone to profit targets, then it would have been a really nice trade, right? So I followed my rules. I didn't take the trade off when I had profits. I wanted to let it run. And the same thing ended up happening to me today, just in the opposite side, where I was looking for a trade and I followed my rules and it didn't allow me to actually enter a trade. When you can obviously see on the chart here, we've had a really, really nice move so far today. So what was my game plan and how did it all play out? Well, let's take a look at the charts here and I'll show you guys what it was I was looking for here. So in the Nasdaq, I was looking for a move off the open down here into 77.62s, and you can see we got as low as 77.65, 75s, and I wanted to time that in the Nasdaq with the S&Ps pulling back to their support level, or its support level, which was going to be at 61.50s. You can see we got a low of 65.75s on the day for the S&Ps. So we got about 4 points away from that level, and we could not in fact get down to that level at all. Now the next level above here was 75 quarters. We did finally break above that level and then pull back, get some solid test in there, and then continue to work our way higher. So there were additional entries in here to catch this move. Unfortunately, I was actually stepped away from the desk, was stretching, and missed this pullback here to 75 quarters. So I did not pick up any futures trades on the day. I did not find a way into the position here in the Nasdaq. I did not find a position in or way into a position here for the S&Ps. Pull over the dome here just so you guys can see. So S&Ps, nothing there. Nasdaq, nothing there. Russell, nothing there. And the Dow, nothing there as well. So it was a 0 day for me in the futures market, at least. But I did take some other trades and I'll walk through those as well. But what ended up being the case here is I didn't have the entry that I wanted to see. The market didn't set up and do what I wanted for it to do, at least here in the S&Ps and in the Nasdaq. But what I did see happening was super, super strong strength right off the open. We ripped here in the Nasdaq, and that was like a 30-point rip right there. And at this point, we're basing up here right around 77.9650s. And so I started looking at, okay, what are some of the stronger markets on the day that make up the Nasdaq? And what I ended up finding was Facebook. So I did step into a position here in Facebook, and I'll show you guys that now. So I stepped in and I traded the 197.50 calls in Facebook that expired in 3 days. So you guys can see that here. I'll move it over just a bit. Currently have 0 of these on. P&L open is $0 because I did in fact close this trade out. But it was good on the day for $500. So I was able to pick up Facebook here this morning while the market was consolidating, anticipating a break of those levels for the market to go higher. And I wanted something that was strong on the day, because at that point, at that moment in time, if we take a look at this here, I'll unlink this just so it doesn't go away. But if we look at this, at this moment in time, Nasdaq was actually red on the day still and had not broken through prior close right up in here of 78.01s and change. So Nasdaq did not in fact turn green until after I was already in that position, and I just anticipated that this bull flag up here would break out, wanted something super strong with it, was not getting pullbacks here to 77.80s or the test of 77.62s in the Nasdaq to put on a trade. So that's why I stepped into Facebook. Now, I also picked up a position in Netflix here, and Netflix currently, you can see P&L open here is about 45 bucks. This is a pretty limited risk trade in Netflix. So I picked up a butterfly position here for 8 cents. So that trade has basically, 50 bucks worth of risk, 5 contracts there. And I picked up another one here that goes out into next week that has about $150 worth of risk. So I put on roughly $200 worth of risk in Netflix on the day, and those positions have 3 days till expiration and then 10 days till expiration, you can see here. And then the only other thing I have on, well, I didn't add anything in here today, but one of the other things I have on is going to be Amazon. I did want to add a position on Amazon today. This thing screamed higher. You can see net change on the day, it was up 36 bucks, trading 1988.30s. And if we pull up Amazon on these charts, it was just an absolute, maybe, there we go. It was just an absolute screamer on the day and ripped to the upsides here. So big, nice breakout there in Amazon, big bar. And like I said, I've been sitting in this position for like almost 30 days now. Put it on June 10th. So this position, I'm going to be managing this position out. We've got 10 days to go here. And I didn't actually know this. Something came up in the room today, talking about news and some things like that. I didn't really even think about this until I got an email later on. Amazon Prime Day is like next week on the 15th or something. These options expire next Friday. So if Amazon does well on Prime Day and all that stuff, everything could kind of come together for this trade. I've got about a 20-point range where this can kind of come into profits here. And I actually think that Amazon most likely will end up trading $2,000 this week. So you can see I've got the 1980, 2000, 2020 call spread on. I did this 5 times. I paid $1 for it. So I had a $500 max risk on this trade. And if Amazon goes to 2000 print on the nose, coming into expiration on Friday of next week, then this trade could potentially be worth 20 bucks. So it was a risk one to make potentially 20 here. And what I'm going to be looking to do is as we come up here, you can see it's currently trading for $3.20. What I'm going to look to do is as we kind of come up closer to the $2,000 number, I'm going to go ahead and peel off one grouping, one contract of this butterfly for $5. And basically what that's going to do is give me my risk back on the trade, and then I can now let this thing work itself out. So it's already up, P&L open here is $1,100 on this trade in Amazon over the last 30 days or so. And we got another 10 days or so to go here till expiration. And just looking for it to kind of stay, somewhere closer to this $2,000 number. So I think that trade will end up working out nicely for us there, and we'll manage it accordingly as we go. Next up on the list here is going to be Boeing, and that is all I have on at the moment. I've got Amazon, Boeing, Facebook, and Netflix. And Boeing here came back a little bit today, up $2 and change there, 0.56%. So P&L open on this trade still down about 180 bucks, and P&L on the day here, 23 bucks. Again, this position has 10 days to go till expiration, and realistically, I just needed over 360 bucks by the expiration, so it needs to move like another $7 or so by next Friday. So I'll manage this position out as well as the rest of the markets kind of play themselves out, and we'll take a look at Boeing as we go. Now, there was one more position that I put on today that was actually in Nadex here, and let me see if I can pull that up. It was in the Russell. So let's see here. There we go. All right, so what I ended up doing here in the Russell, and let me actually bring over the 4 grid here. I'll show you guys what I was looking at there at the time. So what I saw happening in the Russell was, here's the 4 grid. So the Russell had the same support level in place on the day, which was 1556.80s. That was the level that I was looking for the Russell to pull back to hold, and then go higher from there. And what I really wanted to see is I wanted to see the S&Ps, like I was talking about, trade those 6150s, Nasdaq trade 7762s, and the icing on the cake would have been the Russell trading 5680s at the same time. And if we could get all of those things to kind of come together, then we would have a solid looking trade on our hands. That was not the case, unfortunately, today, but we did get a trade off here in the Russell. 5680s, low of the day here ended up being 5660s for the Russell. So we pushed through just by 2 ticks there, through the level of support in the Russell, and just ripped higher out of there, and then finally ended up turning green here just at the very end of the day for the close. So S&Ps, Nasdaq, and Russell ended up closing green. Dow here actually ended up closing red by about 10 points there, 26,783s or so on the day for the Dow. And then the question is, okay, we've got a divergence signal here at 10:15, and for those of you that don't know what the divergence signal is, that's going to be these red and green arrows that you see on your chart. And what I have is a specific system in place for how I'm going to trade those. And today the Russell fit that criteria. The Russell came down, it got the new lows, right? It broke through the morning low right here. That's what, sparked the signal firing off here. And none of the other markets were able to get those lows. If we're looking across the board at this 10-15 bar, S&Ps, did they get new lows? No. Nasdaq was on highs, so no. And the Dow, no. The Dow was almost on highs as well. So the Russell came down, was the only market to get the new lows at that time. It did, in fact, set a divergence signal in place. And then what I did from there was actually take a Nadex position for the 12 o'clock expiration, or sorry, the 11 o'clock expiration, I think it was, in there. So got this position queued up here. Sorry, 12 o'clock expiration. Yesterday we took the 11 o'clocks. So this was the trade from today. You can see order was executed 10:27 Eastern here. That bar came down at 10:15. So I waited two bars after that, and then entered the trade right in on this bar as we started to break above the signal bar there and above the opening print for the Russell. So went ahead and entered that trade. I only took 2 contracts on this trade, and the reason being is that I was looking to see if the rest of the markets, or one of the other markets, was going to maybe get new lows, or maybe in the Russell was going to retest one more time and get another new low. So I had, and I called this out in the room. I was like, hey, I'm taking 2 contracts here. I'm looking for a retest of this level, and I'll add 3 more to this position and put on a total of a 5 lot in Nadex for this. So what ends up happening here, we picked up 2 contracts. 53.75s is the entry there. And again, so that gives me a max risk on this position of $53.75 times the 2 contracts. So what is that? $107.50, and gives me a max reward if this thing expires in the money, up to $100. So it would be $46.25 or $92.50 worth of profits on that trade. Check my math if I'm not entirely correct on that, just doing that off the top of my head for this video. But that is the trade that I took there in the Russell. And then if you look here, this is the order ticket that they sent to me upon that position expiring. And you can see total payout amount here is 200. The index value was 1560.153. That's over the 1558 strike that we took for the Russell. So in about an hour and a half, initially put the first trade on at 10:27. In about an hour and a half, we were able to pull out, like I said, $96 and change there from Nadex with this trade. And that was the only quote unquote futures position that I took today. And it was through using Nadex. So that's what I've got for you guys today in this video. Unfortunately, was not able to capture this big move here in either the S&Ps or the Nasdaq, but you're not always going to get every single trade, every single day. And you got to know when those days are going to be for you, so you don't just try pressing those, end up getting chopped up and caught up in the wrong side or the wrong direction of this move. So all in all, a good day. Like I said, I think a little over, so $100 and some there in the, or basically 96 bucks there in the Nadex position. Total of $853 in the options account there. So good for basically 950 bucks on the day. Not going to complain about that whatsoever. 950 bucks on a day, I will take it. So thank you guys so much for listening in on this video. If you are new around here, click that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this content, please give me a thumbs up on this video. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, whatever the case is, leave those in the comment section below. And as always, there's going to be a couple links in the description below if you want to join me in the MLT Discord, if you want to learn more about how you can work with me and potentially even get funding to trade futures. And we got some exciting stuff coming out for Forex. So thank you guys so much for listening in. I will see you guys back here on the next video. Take care. Have a good rest of your evenings.